My name is Richard Saucedo, and I'm very honored to be the brass arranger of the Cavaliers in 2023.
Hey everybody, Michael McIntosh. I'm one of the percussion arrangers for 2023. Very excited, and I'm also the music coordinator, which means I'm basically kind of keeping tabs on the production and making sure that everything is in its thoughtful place for staff and designers.
Clif Walker, honored to be front ensemble arranger, working with Mike with the percussion arrangements, and yeah, super excited, honored to be a part.
My name is Matthew Black. I'm excited to be joining the Cavaliers this season in the new role as the audio coordinator and sound designer. Just really honored to get to make music with these guys.
I'm excited for this year for numerous reasons. Number one, it's so great to be back with a drum and bugle corps that did so much for me in my past. And if I'm being totally honest, this drum and bugle corps, the Cavaliers, kind of jump-started my career back in the early 2000s. And so I'll be forever grateful to all those folks that I had the great honor to work with. And I'm looking forward to doing that again. And the challenge for me is seeing, as you all know, in the early 2000s, we had some success with the drum corps back there. And my challenge is to see if we can't recreate that, some of that magic. And, you know, the corps hasn't stopped being great. I mean, they've been great ever since I left, but we're hoping that we can maybe get things even to a higher level. And so that's big. That's going to be a big challenge for all of us, but I'm looking forward to that challenge. And I'm also looking forward to working with this great team of musicians and designers, because it's a wonderful group. That's what I was able to enjoy back in the early 2000s. And this go around is no different, because I have wonderful people and colleagues to work with. So I can't wait to get this going this summer. Richard,
Just know that we are going to stay out of the way of the mellophones. Let's just clear the air on that immediately. It's, you know, Richard has such a unique harmonic language, and it was a no-brainer to try to involve him again, if the chance was there, and it was, thankfully. And you know, Richard's unique take on color tones and tetrachords and tonal centers, and you know, maybe Clif could speak to more of that as the front ensemble arranger, but his ability to move around that in such an effortless way really kind of personified the Cavalier sound in the early 2000s. So for the 75th, the ability to involve him again is incredible. And you know, it also allowed us to pull from resources from years past with the Cavaliers, and but also in you know, new and modern takes on some repertoire. So kind of the goal for 75 was, if two people came out of the stadium, one would go, wow, that was a best of. In some ways I've got to see it again, and the other person may go, yeah, but it was fresh and modern, and I have got to see that again. So I think that was kind of walking that fine line between old and new, and then repurposing some things in ways that are unique, that you know, maybe only Richard can do, which has been really, really special.
Yeah, it's been cool. There's been kind of a permission to explore some of those iconic things that, you know, made the Cavaliers, and permission to use those in new ways, which we're trying to do throughout the different productions. And back to, you know, kind of what Mike was alluding to with Richard's harmonic. It's kind of like, you know, having that giant box of crayons where you have permission to use all these different shades and colors. I get to use all the notes on the marimba. We're not just working in, you know, major or minor chords. We're working in all these extended harmonies, and it's just really opens up the creativity. And it's been a blast getting to explore that. And I think a lot of folks, like Mike said, you know, they'll hear things and say, hey, that reminds me of this. And then there's also things I think that we've crafted that are brand new, but hopefully have that connection to what people expect.
You know, Maria, it's been funny too, because I'll write something that means a lot to me. It's like, oh, hey, that's the Dombeck lick, or that's, you know, that's the the widget lick from 92, where, you know, 9 of us are like, oh, hey, that's cool. But, you know, the other 32,000 are going, I have no idea, you know, what the reference was. So trying to find that fine line. I think one thing that we've done this year is we've augmented our palette with Matt Black, who I'm so honored that he's a part of it. He's a former student, and just watching his growth has been incredible. And, you know, the ability to craft an electronic palette that is modern, sleek, and complementary in every way, I think is something that we're going to take a lot of pride in. You know, Richard's music is Richard's a percussionist by trade, incredible piano player, jazz background, but his works, there's a lot of syncopation in there. So there's a real, you know, there's kind of it presents a really cool challenge on all parts. But the ability for Matt to kind of get his craft on, so to speak, I think is going to be strong this year as well. Matt, what do you think?
Yeah, I'm really excited because working with you guys specifically, it makes the heavy lifting for us really simple in terms of the amplification. We're going to be able to lean on the acoustic sounds that are there to produce the effect that we need it to. And so the electronics will really be there to enhance the overall experience. You know, we've already started talking about how we're going to facilitate for the electronic online experience. So if you're watching from Flow Marching, making sure that your experience is the same online that it is at an actual live show. We've been actually coordinating with Flow Marching for that stuff. But from the actual soundscape design standpoint, it's just making sure that we're using the highest quality samples, and we've got them. You know, we've got a sample library that is extensive, that's going to really enhance some of the transition moments and colors with the front ensemble in a way that is characteristic and fitting the full ensemble, instead of coming off as contrived and disjunct, pulling you out of the moment. It's really fortunate that we don't have to be lipstick on an ensemble. We get to just enhance what's already there. So we're looking forward to it.
We had talked, Richard brought some to the table about the pendulum and where it's at regarding electronic reinforcement in the activity. And it was such a fresh take that I hadn't thought about. And David Starnes had echoed that as well, our program coordinator, on how we want to be perceived this year regarding not only what we amplify, but what we don't amplify. Richard, do you feel like speaking to that at all? I just thought it was pretty profound.
Yeah, Michael, I love the creativity of drum corps right now. I love what's going on in the activity. So many people are experimenting. So many people are trying different things. We're coming up with new sounds, you know, obviously a lot of electronic sounds, but I want to make sure that folks don't forget that one of the most important sounds we can make in a drum and bugle corps is on the horns. And we want to make sure that we can hear those horns without even a few moments in the show, without any amplification or without any kind of enhancement of any type. I would take you back to the early days of drum corps, where there were moments where you just heard the brass and then the percussion would layer in or something like that, when there weren't electronics. I think that's one of the things that I'm really excited about, is the variety of textures that folks are going to hear from the Cavaliers this year, both acoustic and then also the enhancement from electronics. And the reason I like working with this team so well is, you know, these folks are some of the best musicians on the planet and some of the best artists on the planet. And I know that whatever they come up with design-wise, I know it's going to be musical. I know it's going to be artistic. I know it's going to be beautiful. You know, so we'll have acoustic moments. We'll have some enhanced moments. But it's all going to be really beautiful to listen to, and I can't wait to get it all out there on the field.
Maria, I think it's safe to say that this team is okay with the audience leaning in to the production. You know, to make your louds louder, you make your soft softer. And when you provide an intimate connection to the softs, that creates the emotional connection. From an effect standpoint, that really, you know, creates a response, you know, a visceral response from the audience. So I was lucky enough to start consulting with Carmel High School a long time ago, 1994, and then moved out there to be the full-time percussion specialist and work with Richard. And Richard, you know, he probably, you know, his ears are burning all day long, probably, and he's blushing all day long because you just can't say enough. There's not enough superlatives, but honestly, I'm inspired by people that continue to teach me. And I'm also inspired by people that are okay with learning and being lifelong students. And I get that from Richard. He's always introducing something new. And this is I don't know, we've been writing for over a quarter of a century together. And again, there's a real way to enhance his music. And I learned a lot of that from Brett Kuhn in the first go around. And, Brett has been an incredible mentor. But Richard and I have been together a long time. Matt came through the program. Matt is special. And he's come back full circle. There's a lot of people in your lives that you connect with and you just stay in touch with them. Like the universe is saying, this is somebody that is going to, be a big part of your life. Clif the same way. I went down and did a clinic for Clif's group. I was blown away by the steel drum section that he incorporated into the show. And then he went to Blue Springs. We connected there, and then Clif and I worked together at Gateway. And now I've brought Clif on to be, or I should say, Matt has brought Clif on to be the front ensemble arranger at Carmel High School. So this is the music team at Carmel, and just feel very, very lucky to be, in this for sure. But it's been a long journey of connecting with the right people, not just the right pencils, you know what I mean, but the right person. So I don't know, Matt, Clif, Richard, if you have any thoughts on that. Richard can't get rid of me. Let's just be honest. I mean, I'm just,
There's an inherent trust. I was just going to say that there's just a trust that I don't take for granted. I work with lots of great people in lots of different roles, but this is a very I would say safe place too, where, if someone says no, you don't have to go beyond that. It's not personal. It's not, I trust, the opinions and the feedback from this group. And it just frees you up to just be even more creative and put that time and energy into the music for the members and for the audience. Just working with professionals. So it's been absolutely wonderful. Very grateful.
I was going to say the trust thing is huge from the standpoint of, and the humbleness. Whenever we jumped on the Zoom call before we hit record, Richard Saucedo is asking me, little 34-year-old percussion director, student of his, what I thought of the closer that he had started for the Cavaliers, genuinely asking what my opinion was. And just that open dialogue that we have at all times and us really valuing each other's opinions just makes the final product so much better. And getting that honest feedback and that dialogue, it makes the art better in the end. And I feel lucky. I think back to the lessons that these guys have taught me about being a lifelong learner. I remember in 2006, after Carmel had won its first championship in 2005, I walked into Richard Saucedo's office, and spread across his, sorry, Richard, messy desk was a bunch of composition books that he was still using. He had just won, with the Cavaliers, and he had just won with Carmel, and he's still got all these composition books around. And he's still, to this day, I go to his house, and he's still learning, and that is inspiring and what I hope to live up to as we move forward. So,
well, for me, it's, I already talked about how special it is to work with this team, but, I won't tell you my age, but I'm sure a lot of people, when they watch this video, will be thinking, hey, is that guy still alive, actually? But this is one of the things that I've learned in my lifetime, and I owe these folks on this call to thank for it. Along with many others, but I've just learned that if you want to be happy, the number one, one of the number one ways to be happy is to make progress in whatever you're doing. It doesn't have to be major progress all the time, but you just want to make sure you're making some progress, whether it's with relationships or whether it's friendships or whether it's work or whatever it is you're doing. And that's how I look at this. I feel like even though it's been years since I've written for the Cavaliers, I feel like it's just that next year after I stopped last time. And I'm like, okay, what are we going to do to get to the next level. And so that's been the challenge. And at my age, to be completely nervous and freaked out about something, I think is a good thing. I think it's a really good thing. And but the reason I get through it is because of the other folks on this call, you know, because they keep me calm. Or if I do something crazy, they'll say, Richard, let's think about this. And I trust them, you know, so you've heard that word a lot, trust. And I think that's one of the things that has made this team so great. We started out this way with each other when we started putting together the show. Basically, the show is finished now, and we're still treating each other exactly the same way. Now we'll see what happens when the drums are too loud, you know, later on. But just kidding. But no, it's just been fantastic. And for anyone that's watching this and you're dreaming about being a designer, I highly encourage it. But what you got to do is you got to surround you got to surround yourself with people that are better than you. And that's what I'm doing on this call right now, surrounding myself with people that are better. And I love it. Absolutely love it.
The respect level is so high. I mean, obviously the trust. I mean, that's just such a great word. And that's such a vulnerable space to be in for all of us. I mean, we all want our product to be great, but, you know, for multiple people to be able to ask opinions and to be given transparent answers and respectfully in a professional way, it does not shut down. I mean, it's this, right? It just, everything is this is like, no, you know, and this is why, and I don't need to explain myself, but you open that up and it becomes really like a vessel of creativity. And, you know, Richard's nuts. He will try some things harmonically and rhythmically that you're like, yes, let's go there. So not afraid to not follow any trends, not afraid to just create something that's new. And, you know, the brass staff that we've got, the percussion staff is, you know, I couldn't be more pleased with our relationship with Rhythm X and the symbiotic, you know, aspect of that. But I was going through all the bios last night, by the way. I didn't tell anybody this, for the brass staff. The amount of student loans being paid off from academia, unbelievable. I mean, we have a very young but a very talented staff, and you know, with some of the OGs we have in Joni and in Matt and in Tom Ungst and Brett Kuhn. I really do, you know, the tonal mapping that Michael Pote is doing. I mean, really, we're doing everything that we can to create the sounds that are intended. And I think we're off to, you know, I don't know, correct me if I'm wrong. I feel like we're off to a really great start. David Starnes is our program coordinator. He's been hands-off, but in a hands-off way. He's been hands-on, but in a hands-off way. You don't feel the presence. And every group that he's programmed for has an emotional component to it that I'm just so excited he's going to bring to the table and add that cherry on top. And it's just been a real joy to work with everybody that's been. I just feel like everybody's respectful and everybody's on the same team, which allows everybody to be themselves and be the artists that they are, I would say. I don't know if that resonates, but so yeah, real excited for the brass team for sure.
I think we're all being careful of not just doing a best of show. You know, we're trying to make sure. One of the things about the Cavaliers is they've always been unique in this activity. They've always done unique things, especially just in the last few years. They've tried some really incredible things that I thought were pretty gutsy to try, and that's what the Cavaliers are known for. You know, so we're going to do that again. We're going to take some risks. We're going to take some chances, but we're diving into it. You know, and we all believe in what we're doing. There will be, let's see, what do we call it, guys? I think we talk sometimes about hiding the Easter eggs, you know, and we might even want to have a contest at some point to see at the end of the season how many people can actually come up with all the little tidbits that they heard. But I think that people are not going to think of this as a best of show. This is a new Cavaliers show with a few melodies here and there that people have heard, so I think it's going to be unique. That's just my take on it. And I'm thrilled with what we've come up with so far.
Yeah, I can get to have the best of both worlds in the front ensemble specifically, as well as the whole core, but there's been some strength and some tradition in that section through past productions that I'm able to tap into, and just the physicality I think that the Cavalier front ensemble is known for through the years, sound production with or without reinforcement, and then also some new colors. And we're going with a brand new setup this year that is new for us, which is very, very different. And I think that'll bring some new ideas and textures across, and just a new way to experience the front ensemble. So excited to share that with everybody.
I mean, you could count front ensemble arrangers on maybe one hand. There's a specific lineage there. And, Clif's ability to create his personality while staying respectful, to those that he follows. I think all of us kind of follow that mantra of, the traditional aspect of excellence in the core is something that resonates with us. We really, want that to be a real, front running component of this year. The way we rehearse, the way we sound, the way we look, the way we hold ourselves when no one's watching, the way we travel. So, I think Monty, his thing this year is organizational excellence. So, we're really, really excited about that for sure. We're doing a gig with the alumni, the alumni corps in Lisle. There's a huge gala planned. So, old, new, old bottle, new wine, we kind of say, there's a sense of familiarity to it, but it's brand new. And yeah, I think, where you'll find me this year, there's just a lot to unpack, a lot of layers to the onion. And it's exciting the first time, and it's hopefully emotionally compelling the 10th time. I mean, that's kind of the goal.
I would just say I went back and watched a bunch of old Cavaliers shows through this process, and I watched finals. I think it was 1987, where there are guys with mullets and hair down their back that are just jumping up and down, excited in the audience. And I think back to that drum corps, and I think to where we are right now. And I feel like there's a bit of a division in the activity where you have to get the new generation excited and inspired in the same way that I was watching the Cavaliers in 2003 in the lot playing 8 on a hand, just wall of sound hitting me in the face. But you also have to get the previous generations jumping up and down in the stands. And I think we've captivated that. I think that you've got the design team in front of you that knows how to be fresh and modern because they're these lifelong learners, while at the same time creating that synergy and excitement from the previous generation. So I'm really excited to be a part of it.
I've been a part of this activity for a long, long time, and I can't imagine doing my life without it. I think it's special for kids. I think there are so many great teachers out there doing great work with all these different drum corps. And we need more drum corps. We need more people involved. We need more young people involved. So don't be afraid to, if you're watching this video and you really have enjoyed the Cavaliers in the past, or any drum corps, or, go to DCI shows this year and support the drum corps. We're doing our best on the outside to try to get new corps started. We would love to get back to the heyday where, there's all these hundreds of corps involved around the country. And I think we will get it done eventually. It's a different world that we live in than it was, 30, 40 years ago. Back when you would go to Drum Corps Midwest Championship, and it would start out with 50 drum corps, for prelims, and that was just the Midwest. But I still think there's some great opportunities for young people out there to learn and to grow, not just as musicians, but as people. And, the activity has grown a lot over the years, but one of the things I've always been proud of, whether it be with the Cavaliers or any corps, is that there are just so many great teachers out there, and you want to find those great teachers, and you just want to be a part of it, because there's just so much to learn, and it's so exciting. And still, the first show of the year, I still get tears every year, just because I'm so grateful to be doing this. So help us keep those folks that are listening, help us keep drum corps going, not just the Cavaliers, but all of DCI, support the open class groups, and let's just keep this thing going. And let's see if every year we can add 3 or 4 new drum corps to the activity. So sorry about the public service announcement, but I just think that's really important right now.
That's a tough one to follow. Yes, agree. Drum corps, 8 on a hand, sunscreen, taco in a bag. It's just a part of our DNA. It's who we are. It's given me a life. It's given me, financial freedom. It's given me a tribe. So to continue to give back is something that's very important. Obviously, when we are designing the show, we want to give back to the alumni. We want them to love what we're doing, to embrace how we look, how we act. The lyrics of Rainbow are very intimate and special and unique, and pulling our title from that, where you'll find me. It's a bit of a open-ended question. When we're all sitting down at Waffle House on Sunday after DCI, you look back and go, that's where you found me. So it's going to be a journey for everybody. You may or may not hear melodies that you've heard before. You may or may not hear a deconstructed Rainbow. You may or may not hear the Mars lick. There's just a respect that we have when we're putting this together, that we want everybody to feel like they're in on the gag, which to me is ultimate effect when you make the audience feel smarter. So with that intent, are there Easter eggs? Absolutely. Are there new ways of interpreting things? Yes. Is there a look back 75 years and also a taste of maybe what to expect musically in the next 75 years? I think that was a big component of our thought on the design. So to answer your question, Marie, there's a ton of things in there, and we believe there's, and back me up on this if this is right or wrong, but I think there's something in there for everybody. The gentlemen that still wear their corps jackets and show up at a Sunday ensemble, and the Generation Z, maybe there's something in that in this for them too. And at the very least, it just may be a respect for how we craft the show in regards to our audience that we have in mind, and those things are obviously very important to us.
When I'm writing specifically, I first and foremost in thinking about the membership, I'm thinking about the guys. I know they're going to sacrifice so much and put in so many hours and spend, so much energy on whatever I put on that piece of paper. So I probably need therapy, but when I write, those members are there with me. Probably the staff members are there second, looking over my shoulder, metaphorically. And then the alumni are there. There's been so many great people come through the organization. And I love the show before the show. I love being in the parking lot, reconnecting with all those people, but seeing them have pride and joy in what we're continuing and what they established and what we, is ours for a time and it gets passed on. It's cool. It's a little daunting, but I do want to have my cake and eat it too. I want the audience and the judges to love and respect what we do, but I also want the membership, the alumni, the staff. I really want them to believe in what we're doing on a daily basis.
We're all really excited to present this experience to the audience on all mediums. As I mentioned before, the admin have had a lot of support for the audio. Specifically, we're using verbatim the playback system that Billie Eilish uses to make sure that the experience online and in person is great every time. And so we know that no matter where your experience is, you're going to have a great experience here in the Cavaliers this summer. Design wise, we've been given the opportunity to write anything that we want because the membership is so strong. We haven't had to hold back at all, and they've pushed us, challenged us to write, innovative stuff.